Uh, Sony is planning to making a film about a Spider-Man villain named El Muerto, and everybody got upset because nobody knows who this is and nobody cares. The thing about Sony's Spider-Verse is that there's nothing saying it can't work. Spider-Man, part of what make characters like Spider-Man and Batman so cool are their villains. Spider-Man and Batman have some of the not some of, they have the best rogues gallery in all of comic books. Undenied. You can only argue between those two who has the better characters, villains specifically. And Spider-Man has a lot of really cool villains who can and have carried their own comic book series and therefore could carry their own movie series within a universe where Spider-Man exists. Only problem is, within this universe, guess who doesn't exist that era? Or at least might exist, but hasn't been explicitly shown.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Oh boy.
They keep trying to make this Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man in it. But it's supposed to be a Spider-Man universe. Like, they can make a universe where Spider-Man and a bunch of other Spider people exist and the all of these cool Spider-Man villains exist if you just have the Spider people actually be in it. But what I know about El Muerto after a little bit of research is that his name is Juan Carlos Sanchez, and he was trained his entire life by his father to become the next El Muerto, which is a masked wrestler who has like mystical powers. But Sanchez doesn't. He just doesn't want to do it, and he refuses to fight someone named El Dorado, who is part of the ritual to becoming El Muerto. And as punishment, El Dorado attempts to kill him and kill his father, and he tries to protect him, and then he tells him like, okay, since you're brave, I'm going to give you 10 years and you have to defeat a great hero to become El Muerto. And he chooses to fight Spider-Man, and that's his story. I don't know how you do it without Spider-Man, but like, I feel like you're taking Spider-Man villains who have Spider-Man as an intrinsic part of their story and just removing Spider-Man. Like, Venom is a character who has grown beyond Spider-Man at this point in his life in the comics, but his origin should always, I feel like, personally, it should always start from Spider-Man. And it's weird when it doesn't. And then the Venom films are fun action films, but they aren't very good story-wise. And I just feel like there's a lot of potential for a Spider-Man universe that they've just squandered.
Yeah, it's like, as a person who's, again, not really well versed on comics, I have seen the first Venom movie, not the second. I really liked the first Venom. I thought it was very, like, it was a good romp. But like, I don't, based on what you've like explained to me, the universe doesn't make sense without Spider-Man in it. Like, the whole character motivation of what's his name again?
El Muerto.
Yeah, his whole character motivation doesn't make sense if you take Spider-Man out of the equation. So like, I'm sitting here trying to figure out how that's gonna work, and I know Sony's over there like, oh, we got this whole continuity and it's like real complex and stuff, and it's like nobody's gonna want to untangle that. And that's just the truth of the matter. Like, Sony may have this whole like thing set up on how it's going to work without Spider-Man. Nobody's going to want to untangle it, so the movie's going to bomb. Like, they set themselves up for failure.
Yeah, and the thing is that they don't want to do Spider-Man because Spider-Man already existed in the MCU, but now I think that they've gotten over that because of the introduction of the Spider-Verse, which has been in the comics before the movies, obviously, because the movies featuring the Spider-Verse were inspired by the comics. And they could have a long time ago just introduced a multiverse with multiple Spider-Mans in it and then moved on from there and been like, this is a different Spider-Man, obviously, because it's played by a different actor. And I don't know why they didn't just do that from the beginning, but now because of multiple Spider-Mans being introduced, they're probably going to now be like, okay, now we can actually introduce a Spider-Man into this universe and make things make sense.